Hello, Internet. This is Ben with two bits of, let's call it good news. The first thing is you may notice my volume level is reasonable. Uh, Let me tell you how to do this because this is driving me absolutely bananas. There is a program called, I'm sure I can find it. Sorry, I'm looking at stuff off screen. Yeah, here we go. It's fine. Shush. It's called Equalizer APO. And it's useful. So there's a lot of problems. You can find this online. People are like, oh my god, my microphone isn't, it's 100%, but still super quiet. And the problem really comes down to, I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with, if you've got a USB, this has nothing to do with Mysterious Space, right? If you've got USB, you have this levels thing, and maybe I shouldn't play with that while I'm recording. But for a non-microphone USB, you'd also have like a boost thing down here. You can boost by some number of decibels because your microphone is too freaking quiet. But that's not an option for USB. Fortunately, there's this beautiful, wonderful program called Equalizer APO that's open source, and you can find it on the internet, and you can get it. And I think technically I didn't need to be so specific as I was with this whole thing. But the important part is, look, you can do the decibels. It's what you want. So now my volume level is good, and if it's not good at the end of this, I'm going to be the saddest panda. But I did attempt to record a couple times, and it worked. But now I'm a little concerned that, like, because I opened that thing, maybe I screwed it up. Worst case scenario is the volume isn't any better. Second bit of good news, if you want to call it that, I've got something to program. So I showed, and let me, let's sit there. So I showed a coworker who hasn't played like a whole lot of games. I really hope this doesn't start up in full screen. Oh, thank goodness. I always forget to check that first. We can turn down the music. But thank you, it's very pretty. I mean that legitimately. And that would be a thank you to DDR Kirby ISQ. So I showed this to a coworker. She hasn't played a lot of games. And I feel like that's always like the best kind of person to show a game to because you really see the sorts of things that are unintuitive. And like, yeah, there's lots of gaming conventions that us gamers know, but and I say that to whoever's watching, but I don't even know who's watching. But so right, if you've played a lot of games, you've played like Mario, you're like, obviously the moving things are enemies and I should destroy them. Oh, collect fuel, fine, I'll figure this out. Some train can be moved through, some not. Like, there's a lot of things that are obvious, right? But there are things that aren't. And I think that even if you are a gamer, it's possible that you just haven't played a game like this. I really want Mysterious Space to be approachable for like everyone, right? So I will show you the tutorial. I've deleted my settings file, or actually just renamed it, because I don't want to lose all my settings. It includes the unlocks and stuff. So checking out the tutorial, which is no good, or it is good. But the problem with the tutorial, and I've noticed this before, is it doesn't actually show you how to play the game. Like, it kind of does. Okay, we got some dialogue, let's do some flight exercise. She tells you to move around, and you're like, okay, I can learn to move around. Great. And then she says, let's shift. Oh, wait, there's a reason why you shoot some nonsense. Why don't you read a bunch of text? Okay, and then you shoot this thing. Go away. Yeah, I sure am a winner. And then she says more nonsense that no one cares about. And then you play the game for real. And the problem is you go into the game, and you're like, I don't know very much about controls. First of all, new players never know that they should go down. Even though they'll go down, it's like, yeah, there's clouds, but I guess I didn't process it as clouds, and I don't think I should go further down, right? And people won't be fighting the things at first, and they'll be running around, and then they don't process this as ground you should go underneath. It looks like it's still solid, because enemies are moving through all the ground anyway, so they can even go through solid things. So, but your tutorial didn't give you a chance to explore this. And meanwhile, you've got these little assholes like chasing you down, shooting at you, and you're just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Is, I guess, fuel? Where would that be? There's nothing to really teach you how to play. Like, the tutorial isn't this, right? And that's a problem. So I would like the tutorial to be this. And here's what I'm thinking. I think the tutorial would rip out the existing one, put all those away, which will be a little sad because there's text and there's also translated text, and very nice people translated a lot of that text for free to other languages, and now I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to retranslate some text because I'm going to need new text. The new tutorial this is what I'm thinking, it'll be like, hello Captain, sorry to wake you. We have less fuel than I expect, but that's okay, there's an icy moon nearby. Here we are, get the fuel, go down deep inside the surface or something. I'll have to trim that down. It needs to be just a couple lines. It's like, we're running low on fuel, for mysterious reasons. I really want to emphasize that because it's part of the story, and I don't know how much to care about the story of the game because it doesn't matter for most of the game, but setting feels important to me. I want there to be reasons, and there are reasons. So at least I can throw in like 6 words or something to explain that. Just the fact that it's unknown why you would be low on fuel. Like I don't know. It's important to me for some reason. Maybe I should think about that, whether that's really important to players, because I think it might not be. But anyway, we're low on fuel. Let's go on to this icy moon and get some fuel. It'll be a super small level with no enemies. It will be very obvious that it loops. I want that as well. And there will be some fuel stuff behind the force field, and there'll be one crate on the level with the battery, and you have to drop the battery in order to open up the gate, right? Gosh, but what if you mess it up? Maybe the battery can keep coming back for some reason. But I need you, because you could drop it. I was like, well, I could prevent you from using the battery because the use action doesn't help you get through force field, but you could still place it somewhere where it's not useful, unless I really design the level to be like, it has to be here, you know? Or there's nowhere you can place this where a EMP bullet doesn't hit the force field, basically. But anyway, something to train, because I think training people on using items is important. That's another thing that players don't realize for a long time. It's like, oh, I can use all these things, even though, you pick up a potion, it says, press start to use the items. I've seen that people don't read text. I mean, that's something I've learned, and I've learned it so many times, and I really still rely in some ways. I'm like, but players will read this text, right? But they won't. They won't read text. And that's okay. That just has to be designed around, right? So the tutorial is going to force you to do the right thing until you can get through. And then we can throw like one scripted enemy at you. Maybe the fuel is actually like 2 shards of fuel, but you need the third one, the third or fourth one, or I forget, it's 4, right? Yeah, 4 for fuel, or something, or some reason why you have to fight this enemy. Maybe the enemy should have the battery, or explode into EMP bullets, or something, but I want to let you explore the level, discover that you can go through some types of terrain, have the level so small that it's obvious you're going in a circle, and so there has to be something else, because the current levels are so big, you just keep flying to the left, and if you're not paying super close attention, you might not even know you've gone in a circle, right? So it needs to be small levels. It was obvious, like, oh, I guess I have to try going through some of this ground, even though maybe I don't think it looks go-throughable. Things like, it needs to be well designed, right? It needs to be designed, and it needs to be actually teaching what the real game is like in a safe environment, right, where you don't have dudes coming at you and you have time to think about, is this terrain I can go through or not? I don't know. There's bullets. You're not even thinking that far. You're thinking about dodging the bullets. So let's start doing that. It's going to be some work. I haven't thought at all at this point as to how I'm going to do this, which is maybe unfair for you watching this video, because I've already talked for like time. I think it's been 3 minutes, or no, sorry, like close to 5 or something. So anyway, for some reason this recording program, as much as I like Cam Studio, here it is, more free software, so it's not like I'm, whatever, it's free software, get it. But why does it only tell you the time elapsed in seconds? I don't think in seconds. Anyway. I guess that's more than 5. I was thinking 5 because of 100, but that's not how you got to divide by 60. Who can divide by 60 in their head? Is this the Babylonians' fault that I have to divide by 60? It's terrible. I understand 60 is divisible by a lot of things, and that does make it very useful in programming as well. 60 frames a second, for example. Great number. Unless you want to divide by 60. Let's make a thing. Let's make a tutorial. So the tutorial level is going to have to be very small. It's going to be a type of ice world, but I think it's going to be different enough that I should just make a new class. Like, I don't want to have to think about the width. It's also not going to want to spawn enemies in the same way. So I think what I'm going to do, let's start there. Let's start by making the new ice world, but it's not going to be an ice world. We'll call this a tutorial world. And I don't mind it being randomly generated. I say that maybe I should find a seed, just some seed that generates something good, just so I can make sure that, because sometimes I do introduce bugs in the game that include level generation. This is not really going to be fixed anyway, because when I change it, it's going to be different. I'm just thinking, like, is there any way to really fix it? I mean, I could obviously actually draw out the level somehow, but I have no tools to do that, because everything's procedurally generated. We're not going to worry about it. It needs to be procedurally generated, like everything else. So this is a tutorial world. No fire sticks. Let's not subject the player to that right now. We should not place any ruined ships on this planet. Snowflakes, whatever. Generate the planet. So here's some things. We're going to generate the ground. Chance of lightning. Percent chance of lightning. We want 0. Is that cloud brightness? If I then it's 120, else it's a brighter number. Okay, so yeah, clouds shouldn't do lightning. That's fine. And where does that factor in? There it is. Okay, that's fine. And we want snowflakes. Absolutely. I think snow. Well, do we want to guarantee snow or not snow on this thing? I think the snow just makes it a little harder to see because I mean, that's intentionally what it does. Or like, so yeah, let's not do. Let's have the snowflake count always be 0, which I think just means we don't have to set it. I think we just do this. I think we're good. We don't even need a variable for this anymore. This is what I'm talking about. This is why we're making it a new class, because we would be overriding so many things. So when the player enters a level, do a bunch of stuff. If the snowflake count is greater than 0, but it will never be. And we override it on player enter level, so we don't actually need that. Look at all the stuff we can clear out. Okay, generate dimensions. Here's the important part. So the screen, I think it's 720 wide. Gosh, I honestly don't remember, which is ridiculous. Here, the game width. What's that number? 960. Okay, so, well, that's okay. So let's make it 1.5 screen widths, right? So we want this to be the game width, which is 960. Every tile is 32 pixels wide, but we want like 1.5 of those, which would be 3 halves. Is this making sense? And then we're going to multiply by, nope, we already did that part. That's what the 8 is for, or whatever. Okay, so, because this is tile width. Yeah. So the pixel width of the screen divided by 32, and then we're going to add 3 halves. We could do some extra, we could simplify this, but let's show the intent. I would rather show the intent. And then for the height, let's just fix it as well. There's no reason to make things random and weird, because we might want to position things kind of particularly within the level. So let's just do the minimum 6 times 10. Sure, plus 2. Who cares? That will be the height. All right. So rather than doing all the random stuff, we're removing some of it. Generate grounds. Now this is where I think we need this one. Generate ground, fill below, and that's fine. Carved tunnels, fine. Override on carved tunnels. Let's not subject the player to spikes at this time. So I think, yep, is spiky, make terrain spiky. Let's not do that. That seems cruel. Yeah, you can, do you see that? They're like, I don't know what percent that is, but they're slightly more spiky. That's why it seems like only 2.5% more spiky. Is that, did I do my math right? But anyway, radius, blah, blah, blah. Add a coin at the end of the tunnel. Let's not add any coins. Should we? I guess we should show players coins. Why not? Well, but we don't want to give points. We want to show coins. Doesn't matter. You'll know to pick up coins, right? We should put coins on the tutorial. They're part of the game. A thing I always worry about is that it's a little, well, there won't be a scoring screen at the end. Yeah, it's okay. There won't be a scoring, because I don't want to give you points for doing the tutorial. But points need to be removed from the game. This is something I actually talked to my, I need some other more good way of measuring what you have, how you have succeeded at the game. And score just isn't that. Like, I've reduced over time killing enemies. This is a discussion for a whole other time. Points, I think, we can get rid of from the game and put something else in similar. I just don't know exactly what that would be. I mean, I've tried to put coins in places like, add some coins near the edges of spikes. So, coins, if you're getting coins, it should kind of reflect your progress, that you took a little bit of some extra challenges, things like that. And that's why I'm trying to have points do. And since coins give points, then put coins in places where they're dangerous, so that we're, rewarding you appropriately. But I don't know, do we even need to reward you for taking risks in that way? Again, it's a discussion for another time. Let's go ahead and add coins here. I'll worry about it later. Add decorations, fine. Draw preview. We don't need to do that, but it doesn't. Let's yeah, I don't think we need it. I don't think we need it at all. Has an atmosphere, absolutely. A list of possible enemies, no, it should have none. No enemies, no fauna. There's no pacifist achievement. Yeah, no achievement. This is the tutorial level. The only other thing I think is for the update method that spawns enemies. Let me see, sorry, let me go back here. What does this one do? Okay, this just makes an empty list. So I think we're okay with that, right? We want an empty list and to add nothing to it. I mean, it's an override. Yeah, so we can just remove it entirely and leave it with the empty list, and then that means no enemies will ever respawn. And that's how, now that I think about it, that has to be how I have other things like folded space and the various cutscenes, right? Those aren't spawning enemies at you. I'm sure it's just because those lists are empty. So they're trying to spawn enemies, but never succeed because there are no enemies to spawn. So good, fantastic, and great. Oh, and we still don't want this. No achievement. It's possible. Get pacifist achievement. It's possible that that's already... It's abstract. We have to define it. Okay, fine. I was just checking. I didn't know if this was a method like the... it's an abstract method, so we have to have this override, right? Whereas the previous one, it was virtual, so I didn't have to... Programming, don't worry about it. All right, add coins, great, great, great. Do all these things, wonderful, 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 wonderful. That's harder to say 3 times in a row. We now have a tutorial world. We haven't placed fuel. We only want to require 1, and that's a different sort of thing because the game generally requires 3. I really don't want to make you run around and get 3 at this point. Like, there's not really a purpose to it since you're not worried about enemies. It really just needs to be, hey, go and get this fuel. And then when you play the game proper, okay, now go and get 3, right? That's fine, I think. And again, it's important that the level be small enough that you can wrap, and there's no room to put the 3 fuel, unless we just like put it on the surface, but that's bad for training. We need to always put it underneath. So yeah, 1 fuel. 1 fuel is definitely... there is something... Generate planet. There's something that sets the amount of fuel required. Fuel remaining. Where did this get defined? That's what I want to know. Find all references. Sector, fuel required to travel. There is a sector defined at this point. Why are you whining? Oh, because we're in debug mode, yeah. We won't want to be in debug mode for testing this for that reason. No, that's okay. We just need to turn off travel for free. That just needs to be false. Yep. No traveling for free. We need to test that part. Right. I can't reach that code. Whatever. So additional fuel required. Required is 2. We need something like if you're in tutorial mode, you know, then return 1. In tutorial mode, or you know, if tutorial return 1. That's kind of what we want to say. We'll worry about how to do that a little bit later. So for now, this will generate 3 fuel, and that's okay. I would really just like to get the game to a point where I go on to this planet, you know, and then we can throw dialogue at the player or whatever else. But let's get it here, see that it works, see that we can fly around, and let's see how many seconds or how many minutes is 11:38 divided by 60. 18 minutes, that's okay. I always promise 20 but end up with 30, so I can promise 20 again, and then we can hit 30, and it'll be okay. All right, I think that's how that works. So great. I think in 10 minutes we can get the player on the screen. I think we might even be able to do it in less. So let's find where we game state tutorial. Fantastique, as maybe some people say. Maybe lots. Mothership is not going to be here. We can get rid of that entirely at some point. Deep space is not deep space. So we don't have the mini boss. Oh, mothership. Yeah, we don't have the mothership either, and that's fine. What we want is the level. We're gonna say ice dwarf planet. It's like Pluto, right? So here, we'll call it dwarf planet. Okay. Dwarf planet equals new tutorial world. We need the system. Interesting. Oh, interesting, interesting. And a level seed. That's fine. That's probably fine. If not, then we'll cry later when we try to run the game and it doesn't work. Enter the thing. Move the player. Interesting to... So that part doesn't need to be... I don't know how this works in other parts of the game. Like, am I overriding it, basically? Like, does it set some other position and I'm kind of forcing you in the center for the purposes of the old tutorial? Or not? I don't quite remember. So where do we actually call camera, center the player's camera on the player, do some stuff? Well, that's for entering a pocket dimension, though. What about entering a for realsies level? Yeah, see, we don't do anything. We just call on player enter level. So I think that for the tutorial, we don't need to do this. Maybe we needed to center. I'm really not clear. And sure, facing left is false. Have them face right. Sure, why not? We set a background color. That's interesting. Why do we set a background color? That should be up to the planet. Yeah, I don't think we need that. And then this is where we draw the dwarf planet, which should include the sky and everything, so I think all that's taken care of. We do some stuff with practice moving, blah, blah, blah. Let's comment that stuff out. Veil strength. Boot screen. Oh, that's for the funny boot screen that we have at the beginning of the game. Do we want that still? Again, it adds like a little bit of character. It feels Mega Man X-y, but I mean, I've heard complaints that's like, why are you wasting my time with that, right? Like, oh, aren't you looking cool being a fake computer? No. But for some reason, and I've known that, but I went ahead and was like, it'll be fun to make. That's the risk, isn't it? Fun to make doesn't mean makes a good game. Sorry, I'm like just making sure that that's something I wanted to actually remove. Draw, update. Let's leave that stuff in. We're not going to do the mini boss. Yeah, we're going to have to change a lot of this. Practice moving. Step blah. Add. Cue all this dialogue. Yeah, let's just comment this out for now. I'll go look. There might be something in here that I salvage, but I don't know what that would be. Don't worry about killing the mini boss. Blah blah blah. I think that ends here. Yeah, again, I might salvage some of that, but once I'm done, you can delete all that. There's no reason to leave a bunch of comment stuff. Boot process, fine. Check dialogue responses. What is this? If step equals none and you're controlling response, then end the tutorial, else do some stuff. So we don't want to give the option to end the tutorial like we do now, right? We don't need to do this. We can cue some dialogue, fine. That dialogue won't be appropriate, but that's fine. End the tutorial, any player was thrusting. All right, let's see if this works. Oh, and I'm going to need to reset my settings. I can do this. Did that make sense? I worry this was kind of an awkward video as well. Like in addition to some of the previous ones. And lots of ends. It crashes. All right. We've divided by zeros. What a fool we've been. You can't just divide by 0. Segment length equals the width, which is 30. Divided by 100. Oh, because it has like too many segments in the tutorial world. Heights. Yeah, we don't want that many. So here's what's going on. The way it generates all the planets is it starts with a straight line. It divides it into apparently 100 segments, and then it wiggles the up, the points of that line up and down. And as it does so, it starts from the middle. Basically, so it starts from the middle, says, okay, I'm going to wiggle that up and down, and then it smooths out everything to the left and to the right back to these 25 and 25. So suppose that it went, the middle went to which would be 50, or 49 rather. Suppose that 49 ends up being 50, then I don't know if this is entirely correct, but it'd be like 49, 48, 47 to the right and to the left, right? And then it goes and it finds the middle on each of those two halves, and it wiggles those and does a similar sort of averaging thing, and it just keeps doing that, and you end up with pointy terrain. The problem here is that it's way too big for dwarf planets this small. Really, this should be proportional to the width of the level, like we should be picking that, but that's apparently not how it's done. But that is also a problem for another time. So heights, first, last. the last one is 4. And then what's that 20? Why am I not getting tooltips? Oh, because we're debugging. Max variance is 10. Fine. For ice worlds, it's a little more. Let's put it somewhere in between for the purposes of this one. Highest surface point, blah, blah, blah. So hopefully this will just fix. I'm thinking this will make it okay. But yeah, so the problem was it was 100 wide, and it was trying to kind of figure out, well, how long is each segment? Well, if the width of the level is only 30 tiles and you've got 100 segments, then each segment is 0 wide, and then it divided by 0 and it died. So that was the problem. Let's delete the settings again, and then make a new game. I'm going to delete my save game, and it crashed again. Because it wants to map this planet. So many problems. For now, let's comment this out and just see that we can get on screen. So many problems. What's going on? Spawning enemies? You can't do that. There's no enemies to spawn here. So this is virtual, which means we can override spawn enemies in that thing and just be like, no, stop that. So let's do that. Let's go to the tutorial world. We're going to override spawn enemies, and we're never going to do it. No, stop that. Except for tutorial reasons, right? So we might use this function to spawn, why not? And we're not going to. I was going to say maybe we'll use it when we spawn our scripted enemies, but no, I'll just do that as part of dialogue, which is handled wherever that was handled. So let's see what happens. Oh, I can get rid of those snowflake-related things. Then... Ooh. Where are you stuck at? Trying to add fuel, and the problem is it really wants a minimum distance between each fuel, and on a planet this small it's having trouble finding it, so we really do need to find a way to only place one fuel so that we do not have that problem. See, so I said I was going to get it in 10 minutes, but it's possible I've lied to you. I really want to get something on screen though, because I feel like it's a failure of the video if we can't show some progress. So let's find... Where was that to do? Fauna, swimming fish, if tutorial, return 1. How do we check that? Do we do like if... that's a terrible way to do it. I don't like using reflection if I can at all help it. What I was thinking of doing was the game instance current state is game state tutorial, right? It's kind of gross. It's kind of gross. I'm gonna try it in the interest of getting things on screen, and then I'll think of a better solution when I'm not being watched and feeling like I need to get something on screen for you guys. No! Problems even still. Pause. Really? How many fuel do you think you have remaining? Fuel remaining. 2? Well, then it hasn't worked, has it? We said to return 1. Actually, that's kind of weird that... Oh, because it places 1 extra. Okay. I got it. There's always that extra bonus fuel. So, which, I don't know. If you haven't played, then you don't know. Yay, we got something. So this is the, like, fake, right? We already saw this. And then it should fade in. Whoa! And we can't see ourselves. I feel fine. Let's do flight exercises. Oh my gosh, can't see myself. I can see my little trail. Well, you know what? I said I'd get you something on the screen. Oh, whoa! I thought we had more. Oh, you know why? Because I did the thing that was bad. Okay, let me just fix this. I did the thing that was bad. Look, we multiplied, but we put parentheses, so we did 3 divided by 2, which the computer says that sounds an awful lot like 0. And so then we multiply by 0. Because integers, let's make sure to reset this. And so then we were multiplying the whole thing. Yeah, it's fine. But now it's freezing again for other reasons. Mysterious reasons. What's the call stack? This is how we debug. We're in add fuel still. So how many fuel do you think is remaining now? 1? Maybe it's not finding a place deep enough, or... No, because it should eventually... I've already solved that problem. The fuel always wants to be below a certain depth, but if it fails to find anything at the depth it tries, then it specifically moves up one. And so it's always so it travels up the rows one by one, and eventually you would hit the surface of the planet and it would place fuel. And by eventually, I mean in a fraction of a second, because computers are fast at counting. Um, so I kind of wonder where it's stuck at. Ah, gosh. I think I might just have to admit that I can't get a video for you just right now. It's just not able to find it. While true, and the y should keep being subtracted. Margin plus plus. How does it use margin? Base y minus the margin, right? So it keeps increasing the margin. Oh, which makes it just grows out the random area. So it doesn't work exactly as I thought. It keeps, yeah, okay, that's fine. Finds a random one. I probably should do it the way I said, of just starting from the bottom then moving up, because this is a little this is less deterministic, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it, but it's possible it just chooses the same y again on the next iteration. We've widened the margin, but it might be retrying the same ones. I'd prefer to be like, look, this row didn't work, just go the one above. But I think these are problems to solve another time. So I'm sorry I didn't have a whole lot to show you this video, but I hope that you can also see that progress has been made. And I think that I'm very close to getting something on the screen. It's interesting working within these 20-minute, 30-minute, but I'm gonna keep calling them 20-minute. It's difficult working within these 30-minute windows of trying to program a thing, but it's interesting too. So this one may be not so interesting as some of the previous, but we have better volume. That's a great thing, and I hope you will watch next time when there's going to be things. There's going to be something on the screen. I super promise. I shouldn't super promise that. Maybe there'll be more bugs, but I think we're close. So I hope you'll join me next time. But for now, goodbye.